Okay, so for your question regarding the removing a background, there's a few ways you go about removing a background, but first, it's usually easy to work on large scale images with bigger backgrounds. So I'm just going to look up my forest with sky images. Earlier in class, we used this one that was here, but we could try using one that has maybe a more even background, just because it's easier to work with. Um, doesn't be Doesn't seem to be too many yet. How about this one right here? Again, I'm just choosing a random image we can work with. What I'm going to do is just save this image to wherever I'd like, and then I'm going to go ahead and open up our Photopea editor. And now I'm going to drag this image from the bottom of my download into it to get it in. Or again, you can go to open from computer, find where you downloaded it. I believe it was Michigan. And then you can open this one up. And now I have my nice image here to work with. So at the start of the other image that we worked with, a good way to remove your background, for instance this big sky portion, is to use the selection tool of Magic Wand. So again, to get to the Magic Wand, you go down to your fourth panel, and you can either click on this little arrow down here, or you can right click on it, and you can hit this Magic Wand tool. Now remember, the Magic Wand tool works with colors. So it's going to select everything that's the same color, and then once I select the same color, I can delete it. But what you may notice about the sky is that there's a ton of different colors in it. So if I go ahead and select here, you'll see that I don't get that good of a selection. And if I select here, it's not too good either. I could go ahead and hold shift on my keyboard while I'm clicking with my magic wand, and it will actually add to my selection, but you'll notice that that's not too good either. I'm going to go to select and deselect, and what's actually easier that we can work with is maybe I could use my rectangle select up here at the second one, and because this is a background, I can just drag this all over my background here, maybe to the very top up here, and if you'll notice I have my dotted line around my square, and I can go to edit and then cut or hit delete in your keyboard, and then select and deselect, and you'll notice that I now have my transparent background. So this is good if you wanted to put in another image to work with it or anything like that. But there's one more error here, is you'll notice that the sky at the bottom is still there. Why don't we try using the magic wand tool now? And let's just select a few of them. And the way that I usually do it is once I select it once, I just hit delete on my keyboard. And it takes a little bit of time, but you can just kind of go bit by bit through this image. And then eventually you'll find that you can cut out the majority of the colors that are back there. This isn't the best way to do it either. There's always different versions of the tools that are better. But for the magic wand, and because we're working with the forest that's right here, this is probably the best we're going to get for this image, because I picked a tree line and it's kind of hard to cut out the tree line perfectly. There we go. So I think I got a majority of it out here. It's never going to be perfect, but that's fine too. Now, the interesting part here is if we bring in another image and we put it in the background, that background will be filled. But the question was about adding in your white background. Now, for the white background, if you're trying to make it very plain, what you would need to do is just add in a layer that is white. And the way that we can add in a layer that is white is by going to this layer pane up here, going down a bit more to this item called New Fill Layer. And New Fill Layer essentially says I'm going to add in a new layer, so a new one of these guys over here, and it's just going to be filled with a certain color. It could be filled with a pattern, a gradient, or a color, and because you wanted a white background, we're just going to pick the color fill. So I'm going to pick color fill. Let's make it white by selecting the white down here, or I can just drag this guy to the top left corner. I'm going to hit OK. And unfortunately, our entire screen goes white now, which is never good. But if I hide this new color fill layer that came in, you'll see that my forest is still there. Let me unhide it again so we can see it. And essentially, again, the way that this operates is either like a stack of pancakes or a stack of plates. Whichever plate is at the bottom isn't going to be seen because the plate above it is covering it. So to fix this, all we can do is just drag this color fill down to be underneath the background. And now you'll notice that I have my white background here. And when I have my white background, it's actually easier to see the things that I missed in my other image. So what I need to do now is try to select the rest of the sky here and try to delete it. If I select this sky, you'll notice that nothing happens here, and if I hit delete, I get a few errors, and the reason this is happening is because over here my color fill layer is selected. So to fix this, what I can do is hit the background image here, and then when I have my magic wand selected, I can hit select deselect, and I can actually select the sky again that I was working with earlier. So this is a really neat tool, and it's a way that you can actually see the background and what you miss from it a bit easier. Excuse me. Awesome. And again, the color fill layer doesn't necessarily need to be white. If you wanted to change the color of your color fill layer, you can select this square here, double click on it, and you can actually move the colors around as you'd like. You could definitely get some interesting colors, but at the end of the day, the white one's good. You can definitely go with yellow too, but essentially what you're going to be working with is that color fill layer.